still dominate a sport at 50 years old? Mark Williams just proved you absolutely can, and he shattered a record that stood untouched for over 4 decades. What happened at the Xi'an Grand Prix will go down as one of the most remarkable achievements in snooker history. And honestly, nobody saw it coming quite like this.
Becomes the oldest ever winner of a world ranking event. At the age of 50, he defeats Shaun Murphy by 10 frames.
We're talking about a man who turned professional 33 years ago, alongside legends like Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins, and he's still beating the best players in the world. This story is about breaking barriers, rewriting history books, and showing the young guns that experience and pure talent can still rule the green bays. So, buckle up, because we're diving deep into how the Welsh potting machine just made snooker history in the most spectacular way possible. Let's get straight to it. On October the 13th, 2025, at the Quizhang Athletic Centre in Xi'an, China, Mark Williams demolished Shaun Murphy 10-3 in the final of the Xi'an Grand Prix. At exactly 50 years and 206 days old, Williams became the oldest ranking event winner in professional snooker history.
It was, I guess, unexpectedly one-sided. Shaun Murphy played so well in the tournament, just made a bad start, but so much of that was down to who he was playing.
Think about that for a second. The previous record belonged to fellow Welshman Ray Reardon, who was 50 years and 14 days old when he won the 1982 Professional Players Tournament. That record stood for 43 years. 43 years. That's longer than many current players have been alive. Williams smashed through the record with over 6 months to spare, and he did it in absolutely dominant fashion. But wait, there's more. Williams also became the first player ever to win professional snooker titles in 5 different decades. We're talking teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, and now 50s. His first ranking title came at the 1996 Welsh Open when he was just 21 years old. Nearly 30 years later, he's still collecting trophies and making history. Can you think of many athletes in any sport who've managed to stay at the elite level for this long? It's genuinely mind-blowing. This victory was Williams' 27th ranking title, putting him 6th on the all-time list. He's now just one behind Steve Davis, who has 28. With performances like this, who's to say Williams won't catch him? The prize money alone was £177,000, and more importantly, this win catapulted Williams back into the world's top 4 rankings, ahead of both Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins. To really understand how special this achievement is, we need to rewind to 1992. That was the year Mark Williams turned professional, and he wasn't alone. The legendary class of '92 included Williams, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and John Higgins, 3 teenagers who would go on to dominate snooker for the next 3 decades and counting. He won his first World Championship in 2000 at the Crucible, defeating Matthew Stevens. 3 years later, in 2003, he became only the 3rd player ever, alongside Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry, to win all 3 Triple Crown events in the same season. That's the World Championship, the UK Championship, and the Masters. Elite company. But like all great careers, Williams had his struggles. After his 2003 world title, his form dipped. He dropped out of the top 16 rankings after the 2007-08 season. Many people thought the Welsh potting machine had run out of steam. They were wrong. Williams clawed his way back, regaining his place in the top 16 by 2009-10. Then came another drought. After winning the 2011 German Masters, Williams had to wait 6 long years for his next ranking title. 6 years of grinding, of near misses, of people writing him off. But in 2017, at the Northern Ireland Open, Williams reminded everyone why he's special. He followed that up with the 2018 German Masters, and then came the big one. At 43 years old, Williams won his 3rd World Championship in 2018, defeating John Higgins 18-16 in what many consider one of the greatest finals ever played. He became the oldest winner since Ray Reardon in 1978, and it marked 15 years between his 2nd and 3rd world titles, the longest gap between consecutive world titles in the modern era. Williams has always done things his own way, on his own timeline. Known as the Welsh potting machine for his incredible long potting ability, Williams is also the first left-handed player to win the World Championship. He compiled over 600 century breaks in his career, including 3 maximum 147 breaks. That's a career of consistency, excellence, and pure class. Now, let's talk about the Xi'an Grand Prix final itself, because Williams absolutely dominated the game. Shaun Murphy came into this match as the favourite. Murphy had been in sensational form all week, compiling 10 century breaks on his way to the final. He'd just won the British Open the month before and was hunting back-to-back ranking titles. Everyone expected a tight match. Williams had other ideas. From the very first frame, Williams was in the zone. He opened with a break of 75 to take the lead, and Murphy simply couldn't respond. Williams capitalised on every mistake, every missed opportunity. By the time the first session ended, Williams was up 7-1, and the match was practically over. How did he do it? The 6th frame tells you everything you need to know about Williams's mental strength. This single frame lasted 40 minutes. 40 minutes of tactical snooker, of nerve-wracking safety play, of patience and precision. Williams ground Murphy down and took the frame to go 5-1 up. Then he finished the session with back-to-back frames, including a stunning 127 clearance that had the Chinese crowd on their feet. When they returned for the evening session, Williams picked up right where he left off with a beautiful 122 break to go 8-1 ahead. Murphy managed to win the next 2 frames, showing some fight, but it was too little, too late. Williams was in complete control. When he needed to close out the match, he produced breaks of 92 and 83 to seal the victory 10-3. After the match, Williams was his typical laid-back self. He said, and this is a direct quote, "It's amazing that I am still winning tournaments. I don't know how I'm doing it, because I'm not practicing enough to really compete in the later stages of tournaments." Can you believe that? The man just broke a 43-year-old record and he's saying he doesn't practice enough. He continued, "I played really well from the first frame to the last. I don't think I missed more than a couple of easy balls all day. I put pressure on Shaun and he missed a couple of times from 50 in front. I made some good clearances and kept the pressure on. I think I made more frame-winning breaks today than I did in the whole tournament." That's the confidence of a champion right there. So what does this historic victory actually mean for Williams and for snooker? Well, first, let's talk numbers. This is Williams's 27th ranking title, moving him into outright 6th place on the all-time rankings list. He's now ahead of Neil Robertson, who has 20 titles. Only 5 players have won more ranking events than Mark Williams. With the way he's playing, there's no reason to think he won't add to that total. The win also moved Williams up to 4th in the official world rankings. That's huge. At 50 years old, he's ranked higher than players half his age. He's ahead of Ronnie O'Sullivan, who's 49, and John Higgins, who's 50 as well. The class of 92 is still running the show 33 years later. When will these guys slow down? This season has actually been pretty solid for Williams overall. He reached the World Championship final back in May, where he lost to Zhao Xintong 18-12. Getting to the final at 50 years old was itself a record, as he became the oldest player to reach a World Championship final. In November 2024, he won his first Champion of Champions title, defeating Zhao Guodong 10-6 in the final. That was his 26th ranking title. Williams also won the Tour Championship in April 2024, coming from 3-5 down to win 7 consecutive frames against Ronnie O'Sullivan for a 10-5 victory. So we're not talking about a flash in the pan here. Williams has been consistently competing at the highest level for the past 2 years, winning multiple titles and reaching major finals. His career prize money has now exceeded £8 million. Not bad for someone who says he doesn't practice enough, right? But here's what might be most impressive. Williams's path to the Xi'an Grand Prix final wasn't easy. He had to survive deciding frames against both Barry Hawkins and Liu Haotian before defeating Daniel Wells 6-3 in the semi-final. This was hard-earned glory. So what's the secret? How does a 50-year-old man compete with and beat players in their 20s and 30s? Well, according to Williams himself, it's all about mindset. In his post-match interview, he said something that really stood out. "I try my absolute hardest when I'm out there, trying to win every game. But people say, oh, he does care. Of course I care. I want to win. But if I lose, I don't care. There's no moaning or dwelling on it. If you beat yourself up when you lose, then you will struggle in this game." That's the Williams philosophy in a nutshell. Maximum effort, but zero stress about the results. It's a paradox that somehow works perfectly for him. While other players agonize over losses and put enormous pressure on themselves, Williams just shrugs it off and moves on to the next match. His playing style also helps. Williams has always been known for his long potting ability. He's one of the greatest long potters in snooker history. He doesn't need to be close to the balls to pot them. This means he can play more aggressive safety shots because he's confident in his ability to pot from anywhere on the table. It's a huge advantage. There's also his unusual technique. Williams sometimes positions his cue directly underneath his body as an alternative to using the rest. It's unconventional, but it works for him. He's accumulated over 600 century breaks using this method, so who's going to argue with results like that? And let's not forget his personality. Williams is known for his laid-back demeanour and his sense of humour. Before his semi-final against Barry Hawkins at the 2018 World Championship, Williams joked that if he won the championship, he'd do his press conference naked. He won, and while he didn't follow through on that promise, it shows the kind of character we're dealing with. Williams doesn't take himself too seriously, and that might be his greatest strength. The fact that he admits to not practicing as much as other players is both funny and impressive. While guys like Ronnie O'Sullivan are known for practicing 4 hours every day, Williams seems to take a more casual approach. He said, "I try to play as much as I can while I'm at venues, and you have to scrape me off the table until the last ball is potted. Somehow, the three of us in the class of '92, along with Higgins and O'Sullivan, are still going." Maybe that's actually the key. By not over-practicing, Williams stays fresh. He's not burned out. He still enjoys the game. When he steps up to the table, he's ready to compete because he's not exhausted from endless practice sessions. What Mark Williams achieved at the Xi'an Grand Prix is nothing short of extraordinary. At 50 years and 206 days old, he became the oldest ranking event winner in snooker history, breaking a record that stood for 43 years. He's the first player ever to win titles in 5 different decades. He's shown that age is just a number when you have skill, experience, and the right mentality. But here's the question we're all wondering. Will this record last another 43 years? Or will Ronnie O'Sullivan or John Higgins break it in the next few years? O'Sullivan is 49 and Higgins just turned 50. Both are still playing at an incredibly high level. Could one of them take this record from Williams? And what about Williams himself? Is he done making history, or does he have more magic left in that queue? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more snooker content.